So I highly encourage you to be interactive. Make this session for you. And I think, you know, what we're noticing right now is the line between personal development and professional development is one seam. You know, and there is no difference right now. So who you are personally carries through into everyday life. And especially now, you guys, I mean, we're working out of our homes, right? So dogs jump in screens and babies start crying, and we all have lives, and that makes us unique and awesome and the gift that we are on the planet. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit of just calibrating your empowering statements today, and kind of looking at some of your goals that maybe you need to dust off, or maybe you're like, goals, did I do that? What happened at the beginning of the year? And it's been kind of a weird start to a year. So if you haven't done that, you get to do that today. Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to share my screen with you. I really normally don't do PowerPoint at all because I don't really love death by PowerPoint presentations, but I think today it'll help just give you a little bit of a framework on what's possible and what's going on. So I know we talked a little bit about who we are, and I started this company a long time ago, 15, 20 years ago, so I was like 10. And I know you guys are laughing, I can hear it. And so I really wanted to inspire leaders to take the next level and lock arms with other leaders, because a lot of times in different corporations, I've worked in nonprofit, I've worked in small family-owned business, and I worked in Fortune 200 companies. Regardless of the industry and where I worked, I didn't necessarily see a lot of locking arms leadership and, hey, let's lift each other up. And so that was really the inspiration for me starting Team Summit. And I've had the opportunity to work with wonderful people throughout the last, decade, and look forward to another decade of working with awesome leaders like you. So we are mission and values based. I'm just giving you a little bit of a background here. The reason why this is important is we definitely work with what is already in place with people. So we motivate you to stretch your own limits. We work with company values. If you don't have some of those figured out yet, we help you be very clear about your culture and the values that are important. And then we are values driven, so that's really important. We're going to talk about your values today on a personal level. And then a little bit just on our philosophy. I really believe this, that we stay in our comfort zone, we live in our comfort zone, and that is awesome, but where the magic happens and where you really grow and develop is outside of that. So we help be conduits to have you stretch outside your comfort zone, okay? So today, here we go. You're like, okay, let's get to it. I can tell you're hungry. I don't know if you're hungry for your peanut butter sandwich or your I will statement, but we can do both. So hopefully today we're going to talk about and give you some clarity around what's next for you, what stands in your way, and creating an I will statement or a couple. So a lot of this information may not be completely new to you. Some of it may be new to you, but I think what it's really good at doing in terms of personal development, we feed ourselves, and we really get to kind of heighten the awareness and the conscious level of where you get to operate. So let's talk about where everybody is right now. Does anyone feel stuck? Anybody feel stuck? Anyone feel frozen? Anyone? Yep, I'm seeing some hands. Yes, very, very common to feel stuck right now. And we are in uncertain times. So a lot of times when we are in uncertain time, and whether that's in our world events right now, or many times in your job, right? You might have a new boss. We may be going through mergers and acquisitions. There's a lot of uncertainty on our everyday life. And normally where people get stuck is between where they are and where they want to go. And that gap in there are transitions. And that's really where we focused. I'm a transition coach. I help people through these spaces because a lot of times people are like, oh, well, it's going to be too hard, so I'm just going to stay where I am. And I'm sure all of us have had that conversation. I've had that conversation as well. And it absolutely is easier to stay where you are, but that doesn't mean you're going to achieve your greatest potential. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So a couple guiding principles in terms of, and I've kind of boiled this down a little bit to make it impactful for you, to have you guys get nuggets and be able to walk away with some actionable steps. So the 3 guiding principles that I'm really going to focus on today are clarity, values, and commitment, and how those shape where you're going and where you get stuck in terms of your I will statements. So clarity. The main thing that I notice and that we train and that I train as a coach is ignorance. Ignorance is bliss, right? So what that word lack there means is lack of clarity is bliss, because people can just stay where they are. They're like, I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. Where do you want to go? I don't know. And so this lack of clarity just allows people to stay in the same place. It allows people to not move forward and maybe not achieve their best. So if you really want to get clear about what's important to you and where you want to go, one of the things that is very critical is you need to align with your values. And if you are, everybody has values. It's whether they motivate you or not. And I call those value-based people versus transactional. Values-based people really need to feel and be in alignment about where they work, who they're working with, what the whole conversations are. So we're going to talk about values. And if you haven't done any work around your values, there's a lot of assessments out there that you can get clear about what your values are, but it can be pretty easy, right? It doesn't have to be really difficult. And then the last point on here is being responsible. And being responsible means being accountable to yourself. I choose to be responsible. I'm going to be clear, right? So just our language today, if you don't take anything away from what we talk about today, be clear that your language and how you speak to yourself and out loud matters. Because if you are like, I don't know, I'll try, I'm not sure, guess what? You're going to be swirling in uncertainty. And it's very difficult. I don't know if you know anybody that could move forward in uncertainty, surrounded by fog and smoke. It's very difficult to navigate. Versus if you create your own clarity and you have a values path and you're clear about, okay, if nothing else, I'm going to be committed to these values. I'm going to work with people this way and I'm going to work with organizations this way. Your path will clear. Make sense? Okay, any thoughts on this? Anybody? I'm seeing some heads nodding. Okay, so the next one is values. So we want to definitely define your values. And I would recommend to come up anywhere between 3 and 5 values that guide who you are, what's important to you. Sometimes I do a little T-chart and I create a values list on my personal side and professional side, but many times it's the same. So for relationships, what are the values that are going to guide the relationships that you want to spend your time? That means your business relationships, that means your personal relationships. So there are some examples here. It would be respect, honesty, integrity, trust is a value. All of those values really define what you're going to surround yourself with. And so I would highly encourage you to spend some time about what matters to you. Because if you've ever been in conflict, it's probably because one of your values is off, right? So if you're in conflict about a relationship in your life or something at work, and let's say respect is out for you and that's a big value, it causes some consternation with you because you're out of alignment. So if you speak into that and move forward, it really helps create some clarity and it creates forward momentum. Because if we're not moving forward, we're either standing still or moving backward. And since the planet is always moving forward, we're probably losing momentum. So I always want you guys to think about moving forward, moving forward, moving forward. Then once you figure out what those values are, you want to prioritize them. So what's most important to me? And you don't have to do this on a daily basis. Maybe if you're looking at a big project that you're working on with some new clients or some new people, when you go into that, prioritize what's important to you, because believe me, your values will probably be tested throughout that period of time in a long project, in a relationship, in a job. So if you're clear on those and prioritize them, then it will make your job and your life a lot easier. And then decide what you're going to move on. Okay, so then decide, be in action. So I also do, we talk a lot, my clients and I talk a lot about, hey, we know this. And I'm like, well, just because you know it in your head, that's great, but you have to be in action about it. Okay, so life is an action sport. It's time to move through it. Life happens, and you're either a participant in that game or you're watching it. So if you really want to continue to move forward, you want to get in that game, be clear, and play hard on the field. Okay? Questions, anybody so far? Doing a check-in with you. So a lot of me talking, which if we were in a room, we would all be talking with each other right now. So, okay. So this is a big topic about commitment. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time here, and I want you to think about something in your life, a task, a goal, a relationship, a job, anything. And I want you to kind of walk yourself through this commitment assessment that I'm going to walk you through. So the way I train this is there are 5 levels of commitment that are critical to success. So if you're going to really be successful at something, you probably need to be super committed to it, right? Anybody want to ever lose weight, right? If you want to lose weight and you're not committed, what's going to happen when a plate full of brownies shows up right in front of your face? You're going to be tempted. You know, you have to be committed to your goal, because things always come in your way to test that commitment level. And that's regardless of anything in your life. So the lowest level of commitment, which really is a lack of commitment, is I don't care. So the reason why I say this is you will come across people in your life, maybe sometimes it's your children, maybe it's sometimes it's someone on your team at work, that they, you know, it's like, hey, what do you guys want to do? Where do you want to go? How do you want to handle this? How do you want to tackle this project? I don't care. So the I don't care is very difficult to get someone engaged and aligned and lock arms with you. So a lot of times when people say, I don't care, I'm like, okay, let's do this. Oh no, I don't want to do that. Well, then you actually do care. You just haven't gotten clear about what you care about yet. So the reason why I bring this up, for your awareness, and if there's someone on your team, if you're a people leader, and there's someone who is showing up with I don't care, find out what they do care about, because they do care about something, and that's where you're going to get the commitment level from that person. They may not care about this, but they do care about something, okay? The other point here that I want to share with you as a people leader is don't spend a lot of time trying to get someone who doesn't care to care, because it's a huge energy vacuum for you. And you can dump a ton of energy into people like that, and you can't necessarily make someone care about something that they don't care about. But as leaders, we spend a lot of time there and we get frustrated. So I'm not saying like abandon them, but have the conversation, walk through it, and then move, right? Because you probably have people that are further down on the commitment level that you can actually move. Okay, so the second level, so I'm starting at the lowest going up the pyramid, right? So at the top would be the highest level of success. The second lowest level is wanting, wishing, and hoping. So that would be, I want something to change. If you have a conversation, be very tuned into the language people are using. They're telling you what they want. We don't always listen. People say, I want something to change. And you're like, okay, what are you willing to do? Well, I don't know, nothing, but I want it to. Or I hope something will be different tomorrow, right? I think a lot of us have heard hope is not a strategy. So wanting, wishing, and hoping are just verbal cues that people want something different, but they're not in action. They're waiting for the action to happen outside of themselves. So they're not even really in action yet. So you want to at least get them to the third level, which is I'll try. Okay, so I know we hear that a lot. We probably say it to ourselves. I'll try. Will you be on time today for the meeting? I'll try. Okay, what does that really mean? Does that mean yes? Does that mean no? We don't really know, but we say that all the time. I'll try. And so if you really tune into that with people and you really need a commitment, it really doesn't leave you feeling so great, does it? It's like, I don't know what that means. I'll try. The other difficult part with I'll try is inherently I'll try is a struggle conversation. So people that try continue and they try and they try and they try. And it's like a circular struggle conversation because they're not really committed, okay? And so just be aware that if you're using that language, if you feel that language, something's off for you. You're not committed for some reason, and you need to dig in and figure out why you're not committed. Maybe, you know, I hear this a lot in some corporations that I've worked with. Well, if I do this today, they're just going to ask me to change it tomorrow. Okay, well then we get to have a critical conversation with someone then, because then that is affecting, you know, your creativity, for example. So find out what that is and what stands in your way to get you to move to the next level. So the second highest level now is I'm in unless or until. So let's say Lexi and I were working on a project together and we know it's going to take us, you know, 30 hours to crank out in 3 days. And I look at her and she looks at me and I'm like, okay, what do we got going on? I'm in. And she's like, I'm in too, but I'm in until you're not in. And then I'm like, well, wait a minute then. I'm in until you're not in. So you're in this thing that you have conditional commitment. And don't get me wrong, that's okay. I just want you to be aware that many times we are in at different levels of commitment, but we want and expect the highest level of result. And that's not fair, because it's not fair to do to yourself or other people, because you won't get the highest level of return and result unless you're really in, right? You guys know what that is. And that's when you get to the highest level, which is I'm in a level 1, I'm in whatever it takes. And that's what WIT stands for. So that would mean you're in, your commitment is leading your plan. Has anyone ever done that? So you've committed to something. Let's say it's a race. Let's say, I know some of my clients, they committed to summit a mountain 9 months out. Does that mean they know exactly how that's going to work 9 months from today? Absolutely not, but they're in, which means they're doing the preparing, they're mentally preparing, they're physically preparing, they're getting themselves ready to get that done. Okay, make sense? So let's hear from the peanut gallery now. Someone share something maybe that they have accomplished with a whatever it takes, because I want you guys to get real and feel what that feels like. Like, yes, I've been there, I've done this, and we all have. Whether just think about something in your life you've done something. Anybody want to share? It's okay, people don't know who you are.
And Ellyn, just an option for folks if they don't want to verbally speak, you know, there's a chat box. And if you don't want to even have us know who you are, except Lexi, because she's the facilitator of this, you can just select, you know, like Lexi or Ellyn, and they can be the only ones that see that chat box.
Yes. Yeah, and you can just unmute yourself if you want. If you don't want to, I get it. But
yeah, I'll be the first to share.
Okay.
So the first thing that came in my mind was kind of prior to the chamber world. I was a decorative painter, and there were a couple of jobs that I took for clients that, you know, doing a sample for them on a board was much different on having a second story scaffolding that myself and another painter and I did. So, you know, the little picture, and you take that job and then you get on the job and you're like, oh my goodness, how are we gonna make sure that this, you know, all flows? So there were a lot of big projects that we went in with a leap of faith, you know, and utilizing our skills. But, you know, it was a big challenge, you know, to complete those projects. So that's
awesome.
Not one specific thing, but, you know, there was some great challenges there, and, you know, you may have to call in some additional resources, but we got the job done, and that wall looked like the sample, and all was good.
That's great. That's great. Awesome. Anyone else on maybe a personal level or anything?
Ellyn, there was a chat sent in. I'll read both of them, okay?
Okay.
They said, I have found it important to ask the client that besides the delivery service of product, what else is important to them in the process? So that helps them achieve the whatever it takes.
Mm-hmm. Good.
They also said, I've also learned to recognize people that are not all in, or ask them what I can do to encourage them.
That's great. That's great. Yes. And that's a really good thing. I mean, if you're out there and you're noticing that people aren't all in, just, you know, notice that for yourself. Now, sometimes when you're all in and they're not, you can drag it across the finish line. But I'm telling you, as a team, and if you get like-minded people, you will achieve greater things if you have like-minded people that people are all in, right? So I'll share one example. I have been working out with a group of people at CrossFit for a couple years now, and I also work out at a different gym because I'm a gym rat. And there was this concept that came out with a Spartan race, and I was like, I have no idea what that is. I signed up for it having no idea what I was doing, just because the people that I work out with signed up for it. And little beknownst to me, I showed up at the bottom of a ski hill in Ohio, and I started running up a black diamond just with my team, and realized, I was like, what are we doing? They're like, oh, it's like 7 miles with like 30 obstacles that you get to jump over and crawl through. And I was just in. I didn't even care what the terrain was. My commitment level just took me there because I trusted and enjoyed the people I'm with. So that can work too, right? And as it was pretty fun. I did get to crawl under barbed wire, which was really awesome. And it was kind of scary, but it was fun. So there you go. So figure it out for yourself, you know, do it with a group of people. If you're committed to a cause, that can pull you through. There's so many different ways that you can jump into a high level of commitment, and believe me, your personal performance and the way you can really transform in that space is amazing. That's where all the magic happens, when you're in, because things just start opening up for you. So I encourage you to get there.
Ellyn, something that I thought of while you were talking about the I'll try, like I was thinking, like when I say, I do sometimes will be like, I'll try to do that. It's more of like a confidence thing, you know, maybe I'm not completely confident that I can do that. So then I'm like, I'll do my best, because I'm a huge like people pleaser, you know, I want everyone to like love me. So that's, I think for me, that's the reason why I'm like, I'll try, because I really want to try and I really want to do it well. But I also may just not have the skills to do it. And instead of telling you no, I'm just like,
yes. So you know what I love about that is you actually are in, you're just, it is a confidence. So I love what you said. I would just, in your mind, say, I'll do my best. And that frees you up to do your best. And it also frees people up to still love you in the process, right? Or you can even be very transparent and say, hey, this is a little stretchy for me. I've never done this before, and I'm going to do my best. Because I'm doing my best. You know what I feel like when you say that to me, Lexi? I have total confidence in you. It makes me feel better on this side of receiving than I'll try.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'll try. I'm like, Does that mean,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Make sense?
I like that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I like that too. That's a really good take on that. Okay, any other thoughts? So I know this is like kind of deep for lunch hour, so I hope you're not eating anything too big because
Carly, you can go ahead and free yourself. There you go.
I didn't want to just like start talking. It's going to sound really weird, but I have a huge thing for bees. I absolutely love bees. And so, as everybody knows, a lot of the bee communities have been impacted in very, very bad ways and in negative ways. And people were knocking over hives and they were destroying bee colonies and things like that. It sounds super cheesy, but I'm very passionate about bees. My coffee mug is bees. My bedroom is bees. My kitchen is bees. I don't use plastic wrap anymore. I make beeswax wraps for food and stuff. And
Cool.
so I work in part, North Park works with Corteva Agriscience. So they have like a huge pollinator program. And so I got to work a little bit with them when we were able to walk into a facility and see kind of what they were doing for it too. And I am slowly turning my backyard into a bee garden. So it's got like the food thingies, like the little water trellises for them, and
yeah.
like special flowers that help to boost, not only will it boost my area, but it boosts within 3 miles of my house. So everybody's gardens and flowers and things that they're planting as well. Just to hope that it'll help to generate that activity and it'll generate that successful reproduction of the bee colonies and keep those alive, because bees are so integral to agriculture in general. So, I mean, if you want cucumbers, you got to have bees. I'm sorry. That's just the God honest truth. But hopefully, we can't have one here because our HOA doesn't allow it, but hopefully I really want to be able to get my own colony as well. And that's part of my I am going to get my own bee colony, hopefully.
Oh, nice. And so that's where your commitment level comes in, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else, Lex? Are we good? Okay. So I'm going to move through. Okay, my screen is now stuck. That's weird. Oh, there we go. All right. For some reason, my computer was frozen there for a minute. Okay, so one of the things that once we have like all of these pillars now, right? So now we're clear, we have our values, we have our commitment level in check. And you know, one thing I do want to say about the commitment level, you don't always have to be at a level 1 to make things move. You can be at a level 2, you can be in unless blah, blah, blah. Sometimes that's very healthy. So I just don't want you to think the only way to get things done is a level 1. I just do want you to be aware your level of commitment and your level of results in a time are related, okay? So now if we're looking at, hey, I'm getting stuck, what's going on? So what stands in your way? And here are a couple things that are probably the top things that I notice in working with high-performing people that stands in your way. Our first one is our own limiting beliefs. We either have limiting beliefs of ourselves or limiting beliefs of the people around us. So limiting beliefs are very much, they stand in our way of forward progress, because what happens is sometimes we start believing them, okay? And it's a belief, it's not a fact. So I think that's the main thing that when we're looking through things that we really need to be open about is this a belief? Is this a fact? What's really going on, right? So if you have limiting beliefs, it's something that you really want to be aware of and figure out what's going on in terms of why you do have the limiting belief and what my coffee delivery person showed up in the middle of my webinar. So, so if you have that, be aware of that. Be aware of any limiting beliefs that you have about people in your team. sometimes you guys, we do have limiting beliefs around people, and just do me a favor and check yourself if that happens. The second thing that could be standing in your way is fear. And I'm not talking about fear of, well, it could be two things. It could be fear of the unknown of what could happen, but it's also fear of, and it goes into the next bullet point, of us filling out our fullest potential. So I work with athletes, I work with people that have accomplished a lot in their life, you know, athletically or whatever. And a lot of the limiting beliefs in an athlete is that if I win today, that is going to be the expectation for me next week. And then there's this higher expectation that I have to win all the time. So that really gets in people's head. And that mindset is not just an athletic mindset. It can happen if you own your own business, if you're leading a team, if you're leading a business, if you're leading any kind of organization. Once you knock it out of the park, right, the expectation is you can knock it out of the park all the time. And I'll never forget, one of my bosses at one point said to me, pulled me aside and he said, hey, I really like it that you knock it out of the park, and you knock it out of the park a lot, but I need you to knock it out of the park every day. And I was like 25, and I was like, I don't know if I can do that. I mean, but it's true. So every day is game day, right? And so for all the leaders on this call, and for all of you that are on this call, of course you are leaders, because otherwise you wouldn't be feeding yourself. And so I applaud that, because we take care of our cars, we take it in for oil change, we need to feed ourselves just as much. So be aware of where your limiting belief is and where you're noticing it, right? If you feel resistance, just check in with yourself. Be like, is this real? Is this perceived? What's going on? And that's why people work with coaches, right? All good athletes have coaches. All CEOs have coaches. Sometimes people have multiple coaches. We are just an outside person that stands in possibilities. So that is what I do. I stand in possibility for your greatness. So I'm like, what's going on with you? Why are you doing this? What's going on in your head? And believe me, the stories we have up here can really limit us. So those are a couple things to be tuned into. And then as you are more aware, we can work ourselves through that, right? Awareness is step one, right? Action, step two, be in action about it. Okay, any questions? All right, so the other part right before we get to our will statement is have to versus choose to. And there are many, many takes on this concept, but the key is, if you feel like you have to do something, or someone tells you you have to do something, you feel like your freedom's stripped away and people are not as empowered, versus this is a choice I have. So if you really think about it, you know, I worked with someone and they're like, well, I have to go to work. Well, no, you really don't have to go to work. If you don't go to work, there will likely be a consequence. If you don't go to work one day, you're fine, because you can call in sick if you're sick. But there are consequences to your choices, right? So if you are one who really needs freedom and is empowered by freedom and choice, make sure you create the environment that you have choice in your life, because you do have choices. And when you align your values and you get your commitment level in play, you will be amazed how your choices become easier. For anybody out there who like kind of agonizes over their choices, sometimes it is very easy to agonize over that when one thing's off, when your values are off, or your commitment level's off, because you're swirling a little bit. But when you choose something, it works. And for anybody out there with kids, I raised 4 boys, 1 girl. So we had a lot of chore charts around the house. And very early, I realized that my boy, well, my daughter too, didn't really want to help out around the house. So I'm like, okay, here's your choice. Here are all the jobs that are available. Choose 2. And guess what? It worked, because they could choose the ones they want. Choosing nothing was not an option. So choose 2, right? So you can use that with people that you work with. You can use that with yourself. This is a really big thing in terms of mentally empowering people with their diet, right? So do you have to eat this? No. Look at all this, look at all of this list. You can have any of this, right? So just be aware of what works for you. The have-tos don't work for me. I'm very big in choice, so I create a lot of choice in my life. I just know that that works for me. So, you know, own what works for you and create the environment that works for you on those things. So the thing that I have here is pick 3 things in your life and change your conversation about them. So if you have 3 have-tos, change it to a choose to and see what happens. You should be freed up. Energetically, you should feel more free. You should have more energy, because if we have energy tied up in our conversation, that means we have less energy that we give to the action of doing something, right? So energy can be somewhat finite, right? You have only so much energy throughout the day. I do believe you can create more energy, but that's a different subject. Okay, there you go. So how do we do these I will statements? So I'm sure many of you have heard about 21-day rule. If you haven't, habits are normally formed in 21 days. So you guys, that might seem like long, it might not seem long. It's basically 3 weeks of the same behavior. So there are a couple, you know, I have a push-up challenge out to some of my clients right now, and the first couple days were pretty rough. And now after 10 days, 11 days, 12 days, they're into, I don't know, day 18 now. It's like, yep, they're doing it. It makes it easier. So in the early part of your creating a new habit, if it's a new I will statement, it will be a little bit more challenging. The further you go through that 21 day, the easier it gets. My biggest tip as a coach is if you fall off, right? That's what no jumping ship is. If you fall off on day 10, don't scrub the whole mission. Jump back on in day 11. That's what everyone does. Oh, I didn't do it, so now I'm just gonna eat chocolate cake every day for the next 30 days. No. Jump back on the wagon next day, okay? Make them short and actionable. So if you do this for 21 days, the reason why we coach, and a lot of my coaching programs are 90 days, because it's actually shown that it creates a change in behavior. So it's kind of, now it's set in you, right? So after 21 days, that doesn't mean you stop after 21. Now it becomes part of your ritual, right? So does anyone have a habit that they would like to start, or they would like to adjust, right? Anyone wanting to adjust one? Or if you want to put in, you know, a workout one is a great one. I will work out 3 days a week. Perfect. 3 days a week. Pick your high energy days, right? Everyone has good energy days, bad energy days. You know what they are. Pick your high energy times, right? Some people are morning people. Get up and work out. Set yourself up to win, right? Because I see a lot of people that they're like, I can't get this done. I'm like, you're going on an empty tank. If you're a morning person, get up and exercise first thing. If you're a night person, right, and you need to de-stress from your day, exercise at night. Make it work for you. Make it be a choice that gives to you, not a have to, that it's like, this is hard. Make sense? Okay, any questions on this? Does that sound long to anybody, or anybody freaked out about those numbers? No, because you guys are rock stars. Okay, good. So let's get into it. So let's create your I will statement. So couple things. You could look at your New Year's resolutions if you did some of those. If you did goals for the year. So every year between Christmas, sometimes Christmas and New Year's, Christmas and the first week of the new year, I sit down, I have my own little thing. I like to build a fire. I like to do my thing and plan my year. It's been in process up until then. So I have looked at some of those, and this is a really good time for a tune-up. So I like to do a tune-up about every quarter. So you can look at the goals you already have. If you're not inspired by those and something else is big for you right now, and especially due to the fact that we're going through a whole change in how we're working and our schedules are different. Many of us are working with our entire family in our house. We have, you know, a lot of a lot of chaotic things going on in our schedule. Maybe there's something in terms of that. Maybe you want to create some stillness. Maybe you want to create some clarity. Maybe you want to create some balance. So if something else speaks to you now, do that. Do what speaks to you. Like, you listen to yourself, listen to your mind, listen to your body, listen to what it's telling you. So what I'm saying here is be bold with them. So you know, if you're working out 1 time a week, let's go for 3 times a week. Now, I wouldn't say go for 5. And that's what I mean by take baby steps, because I want to set you up to win. So you want to see success within your first week of doing this. That doesn't mean, I don't want your I will statement to be so easy that you have it done within 7 days. Like, you know, if you're, you can do, I will finish my house project by the end of April. Okay, that's good. That's a good I will statement, but go a little bit bigger. Go, then make one like, I will be, you know, I'll be committed to refinishing my house, if that's what you're doing, or creating a sanctuary for my meditation, something that's a little bit longer. So if you have something that you really want to finish in the next 2 weeks, put a deadline to that. I will finish this project by 4:30. You know, that's fine. But also look at something a little bit broader as well. Okay. So let me give you an example. One of my goals at the beginning of the year was to grow spiritually. So I re-looked at that goal and I thought, okay, this is the time to do it. So my I will statement was, I will lead a Bible study group. And I'm in the process of doing that. So I'm in my 2nd week of that. Now, it took 60 days for me to get there. So I was already working on my I will statement probably 60 days ago. And that is also something really cool, because if you're clear about your goals and you look at them quarterly, you'll be amazed how many of them you did. It works. It really works. So stretch yourself, be bold, take some baby steps. If you feel really courageous right now and you feel passionate about something, put it out there, stretch yourself. And then if you need help, obviously, I'm here to support you. You can reach out to me. I have my email at the end of this, and we're all here to support each other through this time and beyond, because we will probably forever be changed by this. So, and how we react to it now is a great, I guess, testament to how we're going to be reacting to it in the future. So, thoughts here, questions, anyone want to try one out? Can chat one in to Lexi, you can talk through one. We know, was it Carly, the I will create a bee colony, or yeah, so that's awesome. I would put a date on that, you know, try to put a date on there by this summer or by July or by fall or whatever that is. So that always gives you something to look forward to, because unopened ones with no time frame on them kind of allow you to drag your feet a little bit. So I'm going to open it up for thoughts, input, questions, sharing, anything here.
Hey, Ellyn. I'll start, and hopefully everybody will chime in after.
Okay.
You know, for myself personally, I've never been a big New Year's resolution person.
Okay.
So for me, my I wills are kind of specific and easy, you know, with immediate things, with the timeline, but some of those ongoing, you know, more of a life change.
Nice.
You know,
that's a great one.
So, you know, when you were talking about your I will with specific time frames, and I've only done a couple of, I'm not going to say I have been able to accomplish several rooms in the house where, you know, this is, I think everybody being home looks at everything that they need to do and that needs to be done.
Right.
So, you know, I will clean every closet and cabinet inside and out. You know, I did my kitchen.
That's amazing.
All that, by June 1st. Now, that being said, I keep waiting for the restrictions that I can have my young adult kids come get their things that they are
I
living
had that one too.
Otherwise, I'm going to be putting them in tubs and putting them in the garage because I've been asking for a long time. So
Yes.
I'm giving them their I will statements.
Good. I like that. I like that. That's a great example.
But when you're looking at, you know, this kind of goes for me, both personally and professionally, you know, and I've been able to work on this because I've been working from home more and, you know, a few less distractions is when your office is open to the public also.
Yes.
But I will be intentional on having a closing point to the workday. Okay.
That's great.
Does that make sense? And part
Yes.
of that, I guess you could, for me, it could be reframing that, you know, I will shut my brain off at 5:30 p.m.
Yes, or I will, I will turn off my work conversations by 6 o'clock or by the time I start making dinner. Or,
Okay, that's good.
yeah, because it's hard for you to turn off your brain, right? You're probably not gonna be able to do that, but you could turn off your work conversation. You could say, I will be present at home and enjoy my family time at night. That's awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad my husband's office door's shut. He probably wrote that one for me, but no, that's good.
He's probably gonna put an emoji out the door.
Yeah.
Woohoo! Anyone else? Yeah, I think balance is really big right now because we're now connected even more so. So creating that balance of personal time at night is important to recharge your battery. And it's important for the people in your house too. It's important for your relationships. Okay, well, I hope you all have created an I will statement. If you need help, reach out to me. My email is right here at the end. Keep yourself accountable. And if you can't keep yourself accountable, if you feel like you're going to maybe waver, share it with your spouse, share it with a friend, share it with a coach, right? Because that's why we have people in our lives to help keep us moving forward, stretching ourselves, eating the tops of the trees, right? So you're definitely on your way. I hope that you enjoyed some of this food for yourself today, and wish you a great rest of the day, safety, amazing conversations, and amazing results. Thanks so much.
Ellyn, before we all log off, we have a comment from someone that said, Ellyn, I found your thoughts to be quite reinforcing to the practices and accountability that I've put in place. So you were what they needed to hear today.
Nice, good.
And then Jamie Kong said, I now have a few I will statements put together. Thanks, Ellyn.
Yay! Yay!
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need reinforcement sometimes, like, am I on the right track here? And so that's great.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here today. It was great. Look at all
Thank
my
you.
notes.
Good. Woohoo!
Hey, Lexi, did you want to share yours?
Oh, sure.
Not that I'm putting you on the spot. I'm just empowering you if you would like to do so.
No, that's okay. So at the beginning of the year, I had kind of a New Year's resolution to take care of myself. That's very broad, but
It is, yeah.
I am always choosing everyone else besides me. And so that was a big thing for me this year, to choose myself mentally, physically, and just become healthier in all of those aspects, spiritually. So, and that, as I said, is super broad, but at the beginning of the year, I went on a cleanse, and I've been working out every day for the past 100 days.
Woo!
And I'm on a workout thing. So I do have, active rest days, but I have been doing that since January 1st. So
That's
I've
amazing.
been very committed. I've lost 35 pounds. I mean, that's good. So yeah, that's my thing. So I have a photography business, and with having a full-time job and then doing that, I was forever exhausted. I mean, and then I was volunteering a lot, and I was just never making time for myself or really for the things that I wanted to be doing. So then my conversations with Diane or with anyone started being, I have to go do this. So then instead of, I was making those decisions, and I truly want to do all of the things, which is part of my problem. Even though that's a good problem to have, I needed to pull back the rein. So I feel like with being at home, it has given me the chance to just focus on myself and just continue to feed my soul with what it needs right now. So
Good.
yeah, I guess
Good.
that was mine.
Okay. I will continue to commit to me, it sounds
Yes.
like. Yeah. Good. Good. Good job, you guys. Well, thank you. Sounds like we're on our way. So onward and upward.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Ellyn, you know, for giving us some information, you know, today, but most importantly, just to provide the opportunity for us to be able to take this hour to really think about our I will statement. And I've had conversations with many people that have been on our webinars, and that is one thing that they have said. You know, the webinars that we're doing provides them the opportunity just to really focus, you know, on themselves personally
Yes.
and professionally, and have that little break in the day. And they've enjoyed, you know, these opportunities. I think that's exactly, Carly, I talked with you yesterday via the telephone, and you really shared that also. So we encourage you all to join in on tomorrow's happy hour, and then Friday also, and stay tuned. We're going to have the schedule out for next week. For you business, we have, you know, multitude of different business and organizations represented on our website. We are working with a law firm to provide additional clarity on COVID-19 resources. You know, as the disaster loans, the PPP, I know a lot of folks have questions on what the guidelines are. I know that the House is voting today on, the Senate has already approved, but they're trying to increase funding for those loans. So if that's something that your business has been looking for clarity, that will be on Wednesday, but I'm working with that law firm to get that all put together for Wednesday. So again, if there's any resources that you need or connections that you need, that's what Lexi and I are here for. You know, we don't have the answers to everything, but that's why we have the experts that we can connect you with, you know, to help you with that, whether it is, you know, professionally or personally. So thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you all, you know, virtually and in person in the near future. And have a great afternoon. Hopefully you take a break today. I think it's our nicest day of the week. You know, get a little warmer weather and sunshine.
Great. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Again, Ellyn.
Thank you.
Bye.